Devarer Rezel, Alle Gute Sachen, Hatzlacha Gesund Parnasa Nachas, and Refuah Shlema for Miriam Bas Brana. She should be gesund. I want to thank once again Torah Anytime for giving the Shiurim the platform that it gives to allow people to learn Torah any place and any time. I actually got a text on Erev Shabbos from a mother of one of my Talmidim who says that she listens to the Zera Shimshon, she watches the Zera Shimshon share. I haven't heard from them in years, so it was very, so Rabbi Chaim for you doing this, for Mayor. And the Rabbi Hashem will help him. Be'ez Hashem, the schus of the Zera Shimshon. Last week we made a very big siyum. Lamerzen, Be'ez Hashem, we should be zoicha to Yeshua, es bekara ba'ala. Okay, Marav Rabbi said Parshas Ki Teitzei, first letter, Aleph, Ki Teitzei, page Shin Nun Vav. Shin Nun Vav. Take a sefer, please. We're going to follow along inside. Ki Teitzei le'melchama. We begin with what Rashi says. Ki Teitzei le'melchama al oivecha. What does Rashi? V're'isa, the pasuk says you'll go to war. V're'isa b'shivya eishes yifas toya v'chashakta ba. Torah Kedosha doesn't shy away from the fact that he recognizes that the tzuras ha'adam will see a woman and he's going to be interested. Rashi says, Isha afilu eishes ish. Afal pi zokter v'lakachta l'chol lo'dibra Torah l'keneged yetzer hara. Lo'dibra Torah ela keneged yetzer hara. That means that the Torah Kedosha understands the nature of the person, understands the yetzer hara of a person, and understands that not always can we expect a person to be perfect. Not always can a person sees a woman who's attractive. Mitten de Melchama, the Torah Kedosha has to give us instructions. How do we deal with this? The sugya of tonight's Zera Shimshon is how to deal with one's yetzer hara. I found the Zera Shimshon in this week's Parsha, and Koheles, like we talked about, we did Koheles last week, that takes on this sugya, takes, as we would say, the bull by the horns. So Lama learn, and that's the sugya tonight. This week's Parsha, Ki Teitzei LaMelchama, Zokt Rashi is talking about Milchemes HaYetzer, seeing things that are desirable. Vos tutmen. What do we do? Like Rashi says, to tell you that it's asur, ein HaKadosh Baruch Hu matira, if HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't allow you, yisa'ena be'isser. He'll marry her be'isser. So the Torah has to deal with the fact that people are balei taiva. We can't shy away from it. That's the headlines of this week's Parsha. Zog tehelig Zera Shimshon. Amar Rabbi Seinu, what milchama are we talking about? Vos fara milchama retmen. The milchama's reshus hakosav medaber. We're talking about the milchama, not of the conquering of the 7 nations that lived in Eretz Yisrael, the Shiva Sa'amim, but rather the expansion, going beyond the boundaries, whether it's Syria or other places. There, it's called Milchamas Rishus. Why does Rashi say that, quoting the Gemara, quoting the Sifri? Because the Milchama of Shiva Sa'amim, Shteit, Leisachaya Kol Neshama, we take no prisoners. There's no prisoners, Leisachaya Kol Neshama. Those we have to wipe out. Came Pirish Rashi. V'yesh makshim. Im kol atzmo sheyafas toyer lehuchol keneged yetzer hara. Lamaisa, this is all a fight against the yetzer hara, and the yetzer hara is attacking the person. Lama lo yitira kosev metam zeh. Av b'molchamas chayva. How are we, this yetzer hara, yeah, this yetzer hara, nish? How is the Torah Kedosha dividing between the two? V'tirtzu lefi dracham. Each one who asks the kasha, says the Zera Shimshon, has his mahalach. V'ledidan nirolaimer, zog the Zera Shimshon, I want to say a pshat. Ich will sagen a pshat, a chiddushtik a pshat. V'ledidan nirolaimer. Shekeshem shehaheter shal yifas toya b'shar melchama zukeneged yetzer hara. Just like you understand that when Klal Yisrael goes to battle, and they're in a milchama, and they're in a precarious situation where sometimes the Torah Kedosha says you have to give into this Yetzer Hara. Kach, sometimes ha'isur shalah be'eretz Yisrael is also neged ha'Yetzer Hara. It's the same battle, but sometimes you have to give in, and sometimes you have to fight. Explains the Zera Shimshon. Hakid Isa v'Hakid Isa. Zog the Zera Shimshon, I'm not sure how many people know the Chiddush that the Zera Shimshon is about to tell us. It's Nishkein Chiddush. It's a Dover Parshas, as you're about to see. Aber, have a noida. The Medrash says, when Yeshua crossed the Yarden and went to battle, he sent 3 letters to the Toshvei Eretz Yisrael. He made the Goyim an offer. He made them an offer. He said to them, Haroitza lahashlim yashlim. If you want to make peace, and you want to be subservient, and you understand that the Eibishter is giving us this land, and you're okay, we won't kill you. If you're willing to come around and be submissive and recognize that the Eibishter is giving us this land, then the prohibition, the halacha of getting rid of them, does not apply. Wow. You'll see it inside. It was only after the Goyim were defiant and said, we're fighting the Jewish people, when they took the position to destroy us, then we took the counter position to say, Lo yisachaya kol neshama. That's it. Nishto kein rachmanis. Zok te Zera Shimshon. How do I know that? Bring the charaya. What's with Rochav? Do you remember who Rochav was? Who was Rochav? The Meraglim went to her. Nachon? She lived in Eretz Yisrael? You lived in Yericho. What are you supposed to do with all the people of Yericho? Kill them. Did they kill her? She married to Yehoshua. Vos tutzach. What do you mean she married Yehoshua? Vos? He made a deal with her. What happened to Loisachaya Kol Neshama? Teretz is of the Zera Shimshon dos Retman. That's what Yeshua said. If you're willing to be subservient, you're willing to recognize that it's the Yad Hashem, we have no beef. We have no melchama. We won't wipe you out. That type, you're willing to come around beseder. Let's see it inside. V'zeu time shekiblu rochav hazoyna v'nos v'Yeshua. And that's why they married Yeshua. The ones that were still defiant and said, Loi, we're not doing it. Those were the ones. Behu ksiv, ksibu, loisachai, kol neshama. Achidish, aber l'chayri is right, Rochav HaZoyna. And her family, everybody was part of that. Because they recognized they were willing to come around and they were willing to mekabel. Ba'atam zeh tzorech loimar. Sha'kadosh Baruch Hu rotza l'hayris Yisrael. Here's what the Torah HaKadoshah is teaching us. You have Tzvei Sugei Goyim. 2 types of Yefas Toyars. You have the Yefas Toyar of the Milchemes Eretz Yisrael, and you have the Yefas Toyar of Milchemes Rishus. The Milchemes Eretz Yisrael, they were given a choice. They didn't have to be neged Klal Yisrael. They chose to be neged Klal Yisrael. Those are the ones that loisachaya kol neshama. Those are the ones where the Eibishter says that you're not taking as a prisoner. Those are the ones that are neged Hashem, neged Klal Yisrael, neged everything that we stand for. For Milchamas Rishus, that there was never given such an option, and fakir, that's not part of the land of Eretz Yisrael per se, that's extending, that has already a different din. If the Yetzer Hara comes then like Dibra Torah Keneged Yetzer Hara, we'll make peace with it. Let's see it inside. V'atzam sh'HaKadosh Baruch Hu roitze l'haretz Yisrael sha'oisa aretz ha'toiva Eretz Yisrael eina yachayla lisbal anoshim roim v'chatoim. Eretz Yisrael requires us to live a moral, decent, mitzvah-dika, kedusha-dika life. You have to be erlach to live in Eretz Yisrael. And it's not soivel shlechta mention. The Einlam Takona, the only choice people who inhabit Eretz Yisrael have is Loshav Koidim Sheyigma Adin Aleim L'Ra. They have the one choice: do tshuva before it's too late. She'achar kach loy ta'il lahem teshuvasam. Once you were given the chance and you reneged, Rachav, she knew all of the other people in Yerichai were going to fight. They were going to be defiant. So she separated herself from them. And she took the initiative with her family, and everybody was willing to shtelzu, to listen and to be part of it. And look who she married. She married the king. She married Yehoshua. That's how far she was able to go. But those not, those who were defiant, v'chsiv v'avadete mehera ma'al oretz ha'toiva. V'chein hoya b'Yisrael shelo yishamu l'kol ha'navi. Also Klal Yisrael. If they didn't listen, b'os alem ha'ra. L'chein concludes the Zera Shimshon on this point. Osra Torah alem ha'yifas Torah v'mechames Eretz Yisrael. We said certain yifas Torahs are mutter, certain yifas Torahs are osur. Even when you're giving in to the Yetzer Hara, nisht alle Yetzer Haras can you give into. Even when Dibra Torah Keneged Yetzer Hara, and I have to let you give in, Kaviyachal, the Rebbeinu Shalom says, because if I don't, then you're going to do it wrong. But it has to be in such a way. Look what he says. V'dover zeh l'moifes neged Yetzer Hara, shlo ya'akva melasos tshuva koidim shichta gzar dina. You gotta fight the Yetzer Hara before he gives you the opportunity to do it. It stops you from doing tshuva. Avol Aimrim, the Yetzer Hara says, Yesh Ram Zman, Kodamrinim Yoidim Rishon Darkim Lamisa, El Sheish Chelev Al Kisleim. Rishon know what's going to happen, but they get too lazy. They go ahead and they push the things down. V'zu Hatzosa Shel Yetzer Hara. Steht in the Zera Shimshon a Gevaldige Chiddush. The Zera Shimshon's telling us that the Tzuras Ha'adam, a person, is comprised of good and comprised of a chelik hara that demands attention. And to ignore it, sevet nishgein. It's not going to work to ignore it. But we have to figure out a way to use those koiches that a person has, the physical koiches, the desires and the ritzonos, in a way that should become avodas Hashem. That doesn't mean giving into everything, but sometimes it means you have to give into that Yetzer Hara. This sugya, the Zera Shimshon himself discusses at length in Koheles. In letter Chav Zayin, if you all turn to page Tov Kuf Pei Hey, Tov Kuf Pei Hey, on the pasuk, Al Tiyeh Tzadik Harbe. Don't be too much of a tzaddik. Al tiyeh tzaddik harbe. So what should you be? A bissel a roshe? Is was ja. Nicht kein größer tzaddik, nur a bissel a roshe. Was will asks, says the Zera Shimshon. Al tiyeh tzaddik harbe. Then the next pasuk says, Va al tirshe harbe. Don't be too big of a tzaddik, And don't be too big of a Rusha. What should you be? Abisala. And anybody who learned Abisala Tanya knows that being a Beinani is a groisa madrega. Halavai, we should be Beinanis. Halavai. Al tisha toiv asher techas bezer v'gam mezer. Al tanach yotcha ki yor lekim. Kosha. Frek the Zera Shimshon sees where I am. We're going to learn this piece now. We're going to learn some excerpts from Chav Zayin. Kosha de eich yitochen shebo hakosiv loimer shiaches betzidkus v'al yaniach yodai meharishas chas v'sholem. What kind of balance is this? I should be a tzaddik v'gam k'tzat roshe. Don't be stick don't be too big of a tzaddik. So nish git. What does that mean? How can you be a tzaddik in a Russia? What's going on? Zuk the Zera Shimshon, the following your side. It's your side which we've talked about in the past, side that the Gross speaks about, but here you see in the Zera Shimshon. What's the mayor?
I think that's what you have. Right? So that makes sense now.
Means Pasha Pshat that even when somebody does something good, there's always going to be something bad mixed inside. It means to say that as good as a tzaddik can be, there's going to be certain personal things that a person wants. But this is going the other direction. This is that's saying nobody's perfect. This is pink fakert. This is saying don't be too good. The other one's saying you should know when you're good. There's something which is always going to be a little bit not good. This is saying don't be too good. Why shouldn't I be too good? V'yesh loimer. Zok tehele Zera Shimshon. This is a gracie aside Rabbi Isai about how to deal with our physical desires, with our ritzonos. Look what he says. V'yesh loimer. Da'amrinon beperekama de brochus. Davka hey. La'olam yargiz adam yetzer toiv. Al Yetzer Hara. A person should yargiz, because a lotion of inciting. Macha milchama. Ki seitzel ha-milchama. Yargiz Yetzer Toiv al Yetzer Hara. And Iozul Mutav. If he goes away, git. V'iloi yasik b'Torah. Meaning, the first stage is just fight and tell the Yetzer Hara it's wrong. If you can't do that, get a little bit of help, learn Torah. If not, Yikra Kriyashma and read Kriyashma. Ve'im lo yizker yoim hamisa. Bottom line, the atom bomb. You drop the bomb yoim hamisa and you tell the Yitzavus host of them, you're going to die. They're going to put you into the ground. What are you going to have from all these taivas? Gur nisht. Frek the Zera Shimshon, a pasha de kasha. Why are you wasting your time? Just nuke them. That's all. Just stay fun. What's epis? Right. You first said right. What's uksta? Right. Maxima ilam. Lamali kula hai. Hayar la yom miyad. Yisker la yom amisa. Everybody asked. If that's what works, what do I got to wait for? Yasker yom amisa. Just mention yom amisa. Yazovotcha. He'll leave you alone. What are you playing games for? What are you playing games like? Deides or Kriyashma. If Yasker Yom HaMisa helps to fight the Yetzer, Zugazoi, and do it right away. Zug te Zera Shimshon Tirtzu. Shem Yasker B'Yom HaMisa Ein Shevach Loi. That's not appropriate. Why? Lefi. Listen to this. Shebezeh mevatel koyach shel Yetzer Hara legamri. And that's not what the Eibishter wants. Why? Vanan kaimelon smoil doiche ve'yin mimikareves. Shayetzer hara, as it's known in the Medrash, toiv, we talked about it, toiv is the Yetzer toiv, toiv me'oid is the Yetzer hara. Toiv me'oid, Machaplatz for Jonathan, toiv me'oid is a Yetzer hara. Liyishuv ha'olam. Why? Zogt the Zera Shimshon. He's quoting the Gemara. Shem ein Yetzer Hara. If a person doesn't have a Yetzer Hara, lo yivne bayis. He'll never build a house. If he doesn't have a Yetzer Hara, La Yisa Isha. You'll never get married. V'adarabba. Listen to this. It's underlined by me. Royu sheyishtamish b'Yetzer Hara bechol derachav l'shem shamayim. L'shem shamayim. V'al zeh ksiv bechol levavecha b'shnei yitzarecha. The Vilna Gaon writes on bechol levavcha, quoting the Gemara Zera Shimshon is about to mention. Gemara says that when Klal Yisrael built Bayis Sheni, Anshe Knesset HaGedolah, amongst them were many Nevi'im. They realized that Bayis Sheni had the same problem of Bayis Rishon, which was Avodah Zarah. And they realized that if they don't do something drastic, the second Beis HaMikdash will quickly become decrepit and become a place like in Bayis Rishon, where unfortunately Bayis Rishon, Menashe already brought in a tzelem laheichel. It was already a dangerous matzav. So Gemara says, Anshe Knesset HaGedolah fasted 3 days and 3 nights. 3 days, that means 72 hours. A biz mekenish lebem. They're basically Meiser Nefesh, like by Esther, when it says, Tzamolai Shloisha Yomim Laila V'Yoyim. V'Yordu Petek Min HaShemayim. The Gemara is in Sanhedrin, Gemara is in Yuma, it's a few places. Yordu Petek Min HaShemayim with the word Emes. And they davened to the Eibishter, and they said the reason they were davening and the reason they were fasting was that the Eibishter should be mevatel the koyach of Yetzer Hara of Avodah Zarah from Klal Yisrael. And Klal Yisrael should no longer have a desire to do Avodah Zarah. And the Petek came down from Shemayim that said Emes. And the Gemara says Yotza. It went out a little lion like a cub of fire from the base Kodesh HaKadoshim. And the Gemara says, the Amr, they said, this is the Yetzer of Avodah Zarah. My Rebbe Zechron Levrach Moshe Shapiro said, how did it get in? How did that little cub get into the Kodesh HaKadoshim? Because Klal Yisrael put it there. By them doing Avodah Zarah, they had already put it into the Kodesh HaKadoshim. Nachamazel, yet the Anshe Knesset was able to get it out. Continues the Gemara. They said, since we have the Yetzer Hara on the ropes, let's go all the way. And they were mevakesh that there should be no taiva Yetzer Hara da'arayis. Says the Gemara v'nimtzer biyodam. Bikshu, the lashon of the Gemara. They looked for a chicken to lay an egg, not one. Once there was no taiva for arayis, for znus, people had no reason to do it. And they realized the world will not be miskayim. Vet neshama ken kinder. The Gemara says, they asked, so maybe you should just have the taiva for the people that's mutter. Only those that I'm allowed to be with. But somebody that's also, the Gemara says you can't get it halfway. Shemaim, they told you can't have it that way. But, says the Gemara, they blinded it. So that people shouldn't be misgara ba'anshe beisai. A person has a mother, a daughter, a korev mishpacha, and doesn't have a taiva for that one. That's as much as they're able to accomplish. Without the Yetzer Hara, wollt man nicht gehabt kein Kinder. If not for the Yetzer Hara, we wouldn't be here. The world wouldn't be here. These houses wouldn't be here. Everything, the desire and the drive for a person to make money, for a person to be choshev, all the things that people want, it come from the Yetzer Hara. Is was tut man. The teretz is you have to figure out a way to use that koyach for the good. You have to use that koyach for the Ratzon Hashem. Continues the Zera Shimshon. Take a look at page Tovkuf Pei Vav. Ve'oid yoidua. It is known. Shebechol hamitzvus. Second column, divrei maschel ve'oid. Tzorech lekaimam beguf hachomri. Every mitzvah has to be with our body. It has to be. So if not for the guf, you can't just say, right? It's not ikar. You have to do. With what? With your guf. With your guf you have to do. Aber, zog the Zera Shimshon, listen to this. When you do a mitzvah, you should have two kavanas. Two kavanas. One kavana, I want to do the mitzvah, I'm going to do the Ratzon Hashem. The other one, I'm going to take my body and use the body for the right reason and be mitaher my body so that the yetzer hara of my body doesn't have a say. Let's see it inside. The Soid Hadover, page Tov Kuf Pei Zayin. We'll come back soon to Tov over there. Memashe Gilulon Rab Moshe Zakai Haramaz. Shebasiyas HaMitzvahs Yeshnei Bechinas. There's two bechinas in a mitzvah. One of them, achas, nisaken akalo ha'elyon, to fix up kaviyachol, whatever in shamayim, that the tzura of whatever needs to be fixed up, mechol b'chinaseh. That's one. The kavona shenis, next paragraph, l'shay mitzvah bo yored asher v'vein ma'akev lo. To go ahead and do the mitzvah to bring down shefa of kedusha. The cloud godol biyadenu. Bottom of the page, 2 lines from the bottom. Shaloi dai la'odam hashalom l'kaim kol mitzvahs asay, dahainu asay toiv, u'memela mekayim asur meirah. It's not enough just to do good, and therefore subsequently, memela, you'll be mekayim sur meirah. Ela tzorech lechaven. You should have kavana. Bechol mitzvah. Lemayis bera velivchar betoiv. I'm using my body. You're using your body to do the Rotzain Hashem. I know I'm hungry. I know I want to eat. But I'm not going to just listen to my body in essen. I'm going to eat like a mensch. I'm like a bracha. I'm going to be mala the food. So I'm going to eat it, I'm going to enjoy it. Favos, Hashemayim Shemayim L'Hashem, it's no san livnei Adam. Zog the Gemara, you made a bracha, b'vakasha. Go ahead and enjoy it. It's yours for the taking. Skum Shabbos Kodesh. There's a need of tainug on Shabbos. You're supposed to enjoy yourself. Leil Shabbos is man of chibur. It's meant to be a zman of having enough. Aber, when you do it, just don't do it for yourself to be memala the taivus, but rather have a rotzon Hashem. Nimtza sheikar avodahu litchos hayetzer hara mikol mitzvah u'mitzvah. The loy litchosay legamri kimikar. Can't push away your yetzer hara. You can't deny the fact that there is a yetzer hara, but you can temper it and use it in a way and have the kavana l'toiv, which the Zera Shimshon is explaining now. It's a double kavana. Mitzad echad ich will ton the rotzon Hashem. That's inside of me. Every year on Yom Kippur, when there was a Beis HaMikdash, there was Shnei Seirim. Seir Echad L'Hashem, v'Seir Echad L'Azazel. One Seir, they were identical. One Seir that they shechted, when they took their blood, its blood, and spritzed it by the Kodesh HaKadoshim. And its partner, the other seir, they took it and threw it la'azazel. They gave it over to the other side. Because, shteitin chazal, that other seir, that represented Esav. The devil inside of us. The emes is that every single yid has in him the rotzain of good. The problem is we're possessed throughout the entire year with koiches that want to schlep us away, that want us to do things for the wrong reason. And a yid once a year has a chance to filter himself and get down to the core of who he is. And when you do that, all the mistakes we make, we can give it over to the other side. We need the Yetzer Hara, Zok the Zera Shimshon. But you need to use it in such a way that you bring it L'tzad HaTov and you filter it. Now let's go back. The Zera Shimshon quotes a Zohar HaKodesh. The Zohar is in Parshas Yisroi. It's back on page Tavkuf Pei Vav. You can follow along inside. I'm going to read it from the source, from the Zohar itself. V'oid yadua. Back to that paragraph. V'oid yadua shebechol mitzvah tzarich l'kamen beguf ha'chomri. V'efshel l'kamen beli b'chinas ha'yetzer. You can't do it without incorporating the Yetzer Hara. Hakas. Sometimes a person needs kas. Ima v'aryonim lahanisham. Sometimes you have to be tough. Sometimes, Rabbi Sai, you have to be tough with yourself. Sometimes you have to be tough with ourselves. Sometimes say sepasnisht. I once heard from Rabbi Volba. Gaiva is a terrible midah to be a Baal Gaiva, right? Sometimes Rabbi Volba says there's something called Gaiva de Kedusha. You know what Gaiva de Kedusha means? A person tells himself, you're going to do that Aveira? It's below you. You're bigger than that. What are you so silly? What are you getting involved with something like that for? Rav Volba called it Gaiva de Kedusha. It's a holy Gaiva. It made the person should say, Ich bin Ayid. It's past menisht. You know what it means, past nisht? Right? Not der man says past nisht. איך אומרים את זה בעברית? לא מתאים. זה לא מתאים לך. נכון. מה, אז אתה בעל גייבה? כן, גייבה דה קדושה. כן, אני כן בעל גייבה. You know, when it comes to Kedusha, I'm not going to let it do it. For that, that's what you're doing, זה פסתך נשת. לא מתאים לך. זה לא בשבילך, נכון. אתה עושה צלם עליכם, זה לא בשבילך. וכן כל הנוי זה גוף. לא יסיר צח, לא יסינף, לא יסיגנוף. Psik time, it says the Zohar HaKodesh. You know how the Torah says, Loi tirtzach, Loi tignoiv, Loi tinof. There's a psik, Loi, because sometimes you do have to do niyuf. With the Rebbetzin, you have to go, you have a wife, you have a chiv. Loi tirtzach, but sometimes you do have to do tirtzach. You know when? If a person needs to be killed, then person Bezdin has to go out and kill a person that needs to be killed. Or by loisana beracha loit doesn't say psik taima. It says loisana together. Loi tirtzach, loi sinayv, loi signayv. The ilav hachi says the Zohar Kodesh, loi sharafil bezdin mikdal over avera. Bezdin wouldn't be able to kill anybody because the Torah said loi tirtzach. It's not true. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Lois afilis davig leishto have a usher. It would be usher to go home, right? Because the Torah said lois of name loy tinoif amol ya un amol nisht loy aber mit a psik says the Zohar HaKodesh loy tignoif lemignev daite the rabbi be'araisa. You're allowed to fool your Rebbe. Why? Tell the Rebbe ich versteh nicht. I want him to explain it to me better. You're allowed to do that too. So you state in the Zohar HaKodesh. You make Zayin a Ganeva from Rebbe. You're allowed to be a Ganeva on the Rebbe, so he should explain to you more. So you should be able to get more from him. So you state in the Zohar HaKodesh. I'm all making Megamvanin. What am I doing? You're using the negative for positive. You're using those chalakim that should be usher for the right, because you have no choice. You have to. It's part of who we are. And that's the ultimate tikkun. You know who does this? Only a tzuras ha'adam. A malach can't do this tikkun. A behema can't do this tikkun. No, we can do this tikkun. We have the same bodies and the same desires. Somebody once said to me, I'll finish with this. Somebody, a fry, a yid, or maybe it was a guy, and heard the halachas of nida, and said, 12 days you're in the house? You don't touch each other for 12 days? Couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe it. Siavada. We carry around the Eibishter's rules. We live our life like that. That's what Eid is. And you're serving the Eibishter with your Yetzer Tov and with your Yetzer Hara. You're being mesaken your guf. You're being mesaken the Yetzer Hara. That's what it means. Al tia tzaddik harbe. Don't be too much of a tzaddik. Meaning to say you have to use the chelek of the rishos too. For what? For the tzaddik part. So the Zera Shimshon. But after arbeiten, you have to use. Don't think you can just nuclear bomb, get rid of your Yetzer Hara, and that's it. That's not true. You're going to use those koiches, but use it for the right reason. Use it and go ahead and help others. Go ahead. You want to. People should go ahead and you want some covet, this and that. So you know what? Go help other people. Go ahead and make your hands dirty. Go ahead and run on sola and run on this and help a poor person, this. So you get a little bit of covet, you have kavana for the right reason. And then you're being metaken, your koyach hara. Zok the Zera Shimshon, 2 kavanas a person has when they do mitzvahs. Rotzen Hashem umevatel zayin dem ra. When a person does that, eresholim b'chol minei shleimus. But Hashem should help us. Bez Hashem Yisbarach, as we come closer and closer to the Yemei HaRotzain, as we come closer and closer to the Yemei Hadin, we should be zoichet to be mitahar ourselves, to use the Yetzer Hara for all the right reasons that the Eibishter gave us by doing Torah mitzvahs. Chananya ben Akasim